In this video, we are going to factor a quadratic, but this time the quadratic does have a number in the front. The leading coefficient is not just 1. It's not understood to be just 1. There is actually a value there. There are two methods to solve this problem. One way I call is the brain method, where you just have to think about the factors and do a guess and check. And the other method is a process. So if you like following step-by-step instructions, the process method may be your choice. So here are the steps. First, you multiply the a and the c term together. So whatever number is here as the leading coefficient, you multiply it with the c term. And then you take that value, the product, and you try to find all of the factors, whatever multiplies together to give you that value. So once you list out all the factors, you need to look at those factors and determine which of those factors will combine together to give you the b term. That will create the center term. Now, at this point, when you have chosen the two factors that give you b, you will have to rewrite your expression, replacing the b term with the two terms that you chose. So you'll replace the b term, and now you've turned this expression into an expression with 4 terms instead of 3 terms. And at that point, you'll factor by grouping because it has 4 terms. And if you forgot how to factor by grouping, please go back and watch that video. So this example here, I have 2p squared minus 17p plus 21. To solve it using the process method, which is what I have the steps listed for here, we're going to multiply 2 times 21. I'm just going to do it out to the side. We know that 2 times 21 is 42. That is step 1. Now I need to look at the factors of 42. So I'll say, well, 1 times 42, 2 times 21, 3 times 14. And as I'm looking at these values that I'm writing down, I also want to check out step 3 that says determine which two factors can be combined to give the b term. Negative 17 is the b term. So I need to try to create negative 17. As I look at my factors, I notice that 3 and 14 will combine and give me negative 17 if they are both negative, because when I combine them, I'll get negative 17. Also, if I'm multiplying a negative 3 with a negative 14, I will create a positive 42. So being really careful with the signs, when you multiply this, the leading coefficient, with the c value, you need to pay attention to the sign. So we are going to replace this b term with negative 3 and with 14. And don't forget to put an x with them, but really don't forget to put whatever the variable is. In this case, we're using p. So I keep the 2p squared. The negative 17 is going to turn into a negative 3 and a negative 14. So I'm going to write negative 3p and negative 14p. And then you keep your 21 that was in the back. So the only thing that you've really changed is that center term. But you didn't change the value of the expression, because if I were to combine like terms now, I still get this negative 17. So now I have 4 terms and I need to factor by grouping. Take out the GCF. In the first term, we have a p squared, and what's left is 2 and minus 3p. I'm sorry, minus 2 minus, we can only take out a p, I'm so sorry. We can only take out a p, and we're left with 2p minus 3. Make sure you fix that. There's only 1 p in common with both. I can't take out 2 p's because this one doesn't have 2 p's. Now here, because I have a negative up front, I want to go ahead and take the negative out with whatever value I take out. and I'm looking and I see 7. So I'm going to take out a negative 7. I cannot take out a p, but I will be left with 2p. And remember, it changes the sign because I divided through by a negative 1. So this will be minus 3. And now we have p minus 7 and 2p minus 3. And to check this, you can FOIL it back out and see, make sure that you get this correct answer up here. Now the second method is the brain method, what I call the brain method. In this case, you're going to have to think about the factors of the A term and the factors of the C term, and basically you'll do a guess and check method. So I'll call it guess and check. Some people work faster this way because they're really good with the multiples and finding factors. So if you are really comfortable with your multiplication skills, this may be the way that you go. So in this case, without following the steps, I am going to look at the A term and I'm going to say, well, what are the factors of 2? The factors of 2 are only 2 and 1. So that makes the first step really easy because I can go ahead and start my binomials with those 2 factors. I know one's going to have a 2 and one of them's going to have a 1. You don't have to put the 1 here. And I also need to generate k squared, so I'll have k and k. Now I need to look at the C term. It is negative, so I know that means I'm going to have one positive and one negative. And whatever 2 numbers I am going to generate, I need to make sure that they're going to combine to give me 5. However, at this moment, just those 2 numbers that I choose will not give me 5 because whenever I pair it up, one of them is going to get multiplied by 2. So I've got to keep that in mind as I go through this process. So if we just think about it, 1 and 63, those are factors of 63. But there's no way, even if I multiply one of those values by 2, there's no way it's going to give me 5. So I need to find numbers that are closer together. So as I'm thinking, I think, oh wait, 7 and 9. So 7 and 9 will give me 63. Now you play around with these values in your head to see how can you create a negative 5. So you have to remember, when you choose your 2 values, if I put the 7 here and the 9 here, I am going to generate, when I FOIL this back out, an 18 and a 7. An 18 and 7 is not going to give me a negative 5. So let's try changing this around. If I put the 7 here and generate 14 and 9, I will be able to get to 5. 14 and 9, by subtracting, I can create the negative 5. Now, you need to be careful with your signs. The highest absolute value, the highest value is the one that you want to give the negative to because you want to generate a negative answer. So we have 14 and we have 9, so we need the 14 part to give us a negative, and then the 9 needs to be positive. Now if we were to FOIL this back out, we have 2k squared, and then this part gives us negative 14k plus 9k minus 63. And this section here does give us negative 5. So those are your 2 ways to solve if they have a leading coefficient that is not a 1. If you have any questions, make sure you ask. All right, have a good night.